Call Allah Yahweh Bashim Yahushua Bashim Kalkadash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders that rule well. Peace and blessings to brothers out there that's kicking his word in sincerity, also in truth. As you look at this picture, if you notice, you had an Israelite, a Judite getting boiled alive in front of a crowd. And ironically enough, you had, our own people that were forced, to help in boiling their own people. You see, this, speaks so much volumes because it's a fulfillment of many curses, and a curse that this remind me of is Deuteronomy 28, around 54. The so-called white man has beat us down, maimed us, and labeled us to the point to where our own people consider each other the problem of the earth. Meanwhile, the so-called white man is seen as, the face of reason. You see, and what they use is the whole, black people sold black people into slavery. They use that, as a basically as an excuse for all the wickedness that they have done. Jeremiah 50:6, my people have been lost sheep. The shepherds have caused them to go astray. They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place. All that found them have devoured them. And they and their adversaries said, we offend not, because they have sinned against Yahweh by Yeshua Yahushua, the habitations of justice, even Yahweh, the hope of their fathers. And this is the argument that you see the so-called white man using today. You have black people that sold black people into slavery, which were not black, that's a color. And secondly, not everybody that's considered dark skinned are the same lineage. You have those Hamites that say sold us into slavery. And, I have to say this, in some cases, you have had our own people sell their own people into slavery. Now, this is nothing new. We've seen this happen before in the scriptures. You see, there's always been infighting amongst the nation of Israel. But it's not a rationalization for all the wickedness that the so-called white man has done. To prove what I just said, I'm going to 2 Chronicles, the 28th chapter. Ayaz was 21, Slakia. Second Chronicles 28:1. Azah was 20 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem, but he did not that which was right in the sight of Yahweh by Yahushua, like David his father, for he walked in the ways of the kings of Israel, and made also molten images for Balaam. So there you go. You have our people, you had our people committing apostasy, which is a fancy word of leaving your religious beliefs, for another one, going off in layman terms, right? And burning incense unto Balaam. Moreover, he burnt incense in the valley of the son of Hinnom, and burnt his children in the fire after the abominations of the heathen whom Yahweh by Yahushua had cast out before the children of Israel. Now, that Hinnom is also Tophet, if I'm not mistaken. Talk about that in Jeremiah. You see, that's the same valley of Gehenna, But he just did the same thing in the Valley of Gehenna, which they were burning uh, their children for myrrh or for money, if you will, which was a Hamitic custom. And our people was falling after that same custom. You see, he sacrificed also and burned incense in the high places and on the hills and under every green tree. Moreover, Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, his power, delivered him into the hand of the king of Syria, and they smote him and carried away a great multitude, them captives, and brought them to Damascus. And he was also delivered into the hand of the king of Israel, who smote him with a great slaughter. So you had the southern kingdom getting under captivity to the northern kingdom. You see, and that happened over here in the U.S. That happened. You had Native American tribes have so-called Negroes in captivity, and they are the same lineage. You see, people like to make that argument that so-called Native Americans couldn't be our people because they had us in slavery. Well, you had the northern kingdom here had the southern kingdom in slavery, and they slaughtered them with a great slaughter. For Pekah, the son of Remael, slew in Judah in 120,000 in one day. Do you know that is genocide? 120,000 people one day. Now, keep in mind, these are the same lineage, same people, which were all valiant men because they had forsaken Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua of their fathers. And Zikri, a mighty man of Ephraim, slew Maasiel, the king's son, and Azaricum, the governor of the house, and Yekanah, that was next to the king. And the children of Israel carried away captive of their brethren 200,000 women, sons, and daughters, and took away much spoil from them, and brought the spoil to Samaria. But a prophet of Yahweh was there, whose name was Oded, and he went out before the hosts that came to Samaria, and said unto them, Behold, because Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua of your fathers was wroth with Judah, he hath delivered them into your hand, and ye have slain them in a rage that reacheth up unto heaven. And now ye purpose to keep under the children of Judah and Jerusalem for bondmen and bondwomen unto you, but are there not with you, even with you, sins against Yahweh your power? And you know what? The children of Israel were doing the same thing as children of Judah. They were worshiping idols. But here you had it. You had Israelites going to the heathen, you see what I'm saying, and putting their own people into captivity, man. And this is because of the curses. You see, that evil eye has always been there. That confusion has always been there. Why? Because our people refuse to come back to the Heavenly Father. Now you see that particular curse being exemplified the most in the head tribe, which are you so-called Negroes. You are the head tribe. You see, Israel's waking up, and that's why they're saying it's the black Hebrew Israelites. But what's ironic is you have several camps out there that are all Latino. Yeah, numerous sit-downs about people, brothers out there saying that, hey, I might look like another nation, but I profess the same thing, as these so-called black men. You see, I say all that to say this: there's huge division you know, in the nation of Israel, but it's very, very apparent, you know, in the head tribe, man, which is Judah. Our people love to go hard on each other. You see, just like where we just read. But when it comes to the so-called white man, which are Edomites, they have absolutely nothing to say. And you can blame that on who? You can blame it on the so-called white man for sowing that division, and also taking self-responsibility. You know, this is a part of the curses, because why? Because we are not following after the will and the way of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai. But you know what? Does not negate the wickedness and the treachery of the so-called white man. He is going to be found guilty in that day, man. And that's what you're seeing now. That's why they're bucking up against us, because they know that they are in fact guilty. You see, so yes, you know, were we wrong? Was the nation of Israel wrong right now? You know, for what we do to each other? Yes, of course. But who's pushing that vibration? You see, the so-called white man. And for that, judgment is coming. Jeremiah 2:3. Israel was holiness unto Yahweh, and the first fruit of his increase. All that devour him shall offend, evil shall come upon them, saith Yahweh. So, you know what? We've been put into captivity, right? And people who have devoured us, they're not going to be found faultless, man. Regardless of the mistakes that we've made, man. You know, and we're paying for them. So now it's time for you people to pay for your treachery and your lies and your wickedness, man. And all the things that you have condoned. Because you might say, you know what, that wasn't me who did this. You know, I'm guiltless. But you agree with everything that your forefathers have done. And secondly speaking, you are your forefathers. And just to prove that, here's an example. Now, this was a comment that a brother sent to me. This is old James. He says, this is a blessing. There's a blessing in everything. Sometimes the blessing is in what the future beholds. If it was a race thing, then a race should not sell its own race to be owned. When a person feels they own someone or something, they treat it as they wish. And according to the scriptures, that's not true. There's laws and commandments of how you're supposed to treat your slaves, dog. So, you know, that's incorrect. The selling of people was the problem. The blessing was to be away from the people that started the selling and capturing. So the conclusion was, yes, you know, that was terrible, but at least you're away from those niggers who sold you. And now you get to be, you know, our punch bag over here in the great old USA. Aren't you happy? Aren't you happy, nigger? You know, you should be happy to be over here, boy. You see, this is their mindset. So they haven't, you know, let go of that superiority complex. You know, people want to make the argument that Christianity is all about love. So when did you guys start loving black people? That's my question. When did this love just magically appear? You see all these lies, you know, that the so-called white man has been able to push for so many years. It's coming to a halt. Why is it coming to the halt? Because the truth is on the earth. You see, and we are able to pinpoint who the problem is, and the problem is the son of perdition that has went to various countries, destroy and maim those particular indigenous people, strip those lands, you know, rape, robbed, and murder, you know, which I know is cliche to say, but it's just the truth, right? And told the people just simply get over it. Meanwhile, the world is in total chaos. Bestiality is accepted in 14 states. You got children that are, you know, grown, being raised to be gender neutral. You got 7-year-olds that are boys that decide, you know, hey, I feel like being a girl. And if you say, you know, you're a boy, if you're the parents of those children, of that child, and say, you know what, you know, you're a boy, you could go to jail for that. Who's pushing this? Who's pushing this? Got the biggest pedophile ring ever, still existing, still around, been around for centuries. I'm alluding to the Catholic Church. You know, still going on, still present, but that's swept under the rug, chiefly by our own people. But R. Kelly is the problem. They can make all these memes and things of that nature about R. Kelly, right? But it has absolutely nothing to say about the treachery and the wickedness of Edomites, right? Why is that? Because, again, we are committing what? Apostasy, which means what? Basically idol worship, right? Or we have left our true power and sacrifice unto Balaam, right? And that's why we are in this predicament. We are in total chaos, you know. When the man of sin, you know, Satan, the seed of Satan, he's ruling in total chaos, man. Right? But real soon, these lies are going to be wiped out, man. Especially, that's going to happen, you know, ultimately when Yahushua returns. But right now, that revealing is still happening, man. 2 Thessalonians 2 and 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, all that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things, and now ye know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. And that's it. See right there, the son of perdition being revealed, the man who has done all this wickedness on the planet Earth. The true problem on the planet Earth, all you Edomites, man, you are being exposed, you know, and 2/3 of our people are being exposed right along with you. They're being found to be, you know, wicked. So there's going to be a mass destruction on the planet Earth, man. You know, 2/3 of our people got to go, and you Edomites, you have to go too. Call Allah Yahweh Bashim Yahushua.